Hi, I'm George Dahl, and welcome to my film journal. Today I'm talking about the newest film by Craig Gillespie, I, Tonya, starring Margot Robbie and Sebastian Stan.
4.8.
How do I get a fair shot here?
We also judge on presentation.
We're gonna even the playing field. I know a guy, shouldn't even be saying his name. Derek.
The press wanted me to be the pile of crap. I never did this.
I, Tonya is the story of infamous 1990s Olympic figure skater Tonya Harding, who is implicated in the assault and crushing of a knee of one of her fellow Olympic skating opponents. And while she is best known and has been made the butt of many jokes for her implication in that occurrence, this film is a lot more interested in just the tawdry details of that attack, and we follow Tonya throughout her emotionally abusive childhood with a mother who pushed her to be the best figure skater she could be, often violently, because she believes that when you provoke rage in her daughter, she skates better. We have a funny scene in which a guy is we have a sort of funny, if not sad, sequence in which a man is just completely hectoring her before she goes out and saying, "You suck, Tonya, you suck," over and over again. And it's really rather obnoxious, and it was stretching the limits of credulity in the film until we see the mother secretly hand him a $20 bill as thanks for riling up her daughter before her performance.
I didn't stay home making apple brown betties. No, I made you a champion. Knowing you'd hate me for it. That's the sacrifice a mother makes. I wish I'd had a mother like me instead of nice. Nice gets you shit. I didn't like my mother either, so what? I fucking gave you a gift.
You cursed me.
We follow her then into her more physically abusive marital relationship with Sebastian Stan's character, who's a very manipulative and emotionally unstable character who at one moment is completely obsessed with Tonya and needs her almost like a drug, and other times he treats her with complete contempt. The movie's promotional campaign has framed it as sort of a tawdry, tabloid-esque, tell-all, outrageous film. It's framed similarly to Michael Bay's Pain and Gain or this year's Disaster Artist, as in you won't believe how goofy and crazy and stupid these rednecks are and all the sort of crazy antics they get into. When you actually see the movie, I think the promotional campaign did a disservice, but it did get people in the door. I went and saw it with a packed theater. You find that the movie is a much more scathing critique on the cult of celebrity obsession, and also our willingness to want to be completely absorbed in these celebrities' lives and take a quick hit off of their successes and failures, and at once, we praise them and they're a hero, and next time we throw them out and treat them like trash and they're the butt of our jokes. The movie is very self-reflexive and meta in the way that it understands this, and we get a moment where Margot Robbie as Tonya speaks to the camera and says, "You all out there who mock me and treat me like a joke are just as abusive as my husband." And like her husband, we do have a sort of love-hate relationship with this woman. At once we love her and we cheer her and applaud when we see her terrific feats on the ice rink, and the next moment we're laughing and treating her as a joke on the David Letterman show, or we're treating her like an absolute villain and writing her off. There's a moment in the movie in which one of the narrators mentions that people claim to have seen Tonya Harding herself hammering at her teammate's knee, which is just obviously very, very far from the truth. Despite what the movie says, there's sort of up in the air as to whether or not Tonya did know about the machinations of her husband and her friend as they planned to intimidate her competitor. But it just goes to show that people, they'll believe and they want to believe, they want to print the legend, essentially. They want to believe the most tawdry and outlandish version of the story they can, because in some ways it makes their own small lives feel big, and that we're implicit with this sort of cycle of violence where we're just chewing people up and spitting them out. A very wise man once said on the rooftop to his muse,
"And they found you amusing for a while, the people of this city. But the one thing they love more than a hero is to see a hero fail, fall, die trying. In spite of everything you've done for them, eventually they will hate you. Why bother?"
There you go. Wise words. I also think this film is aesthetically really wonderful. Some of the skating shots are just incredible. Let me look that up. Let me fucking look that up. Amazingly, you're watching these ice skating sequences and you're like, how did they get all these shots? It's absolutely beautiful, very up close. We get to see a lot of Margot Robbie's facial expressions during these skating sequences, and they are fast-paced and beautifully shot. And I was really surprised to learn that they actually had a cameraman on ice skates skating backwards, and they took great pains. I think Roby went through 3 months of training with a choreographer to get the skating sequences down and reenact exactly Harding's routines, which I thought was pretty incredible. There's actually like a TV spot floating around on Twitter that compares and contrasts the film with the looks of the characters. Sebastian Stan is great. The costuming is really good. The movie's production design is phenomenal. People aren't afraid to look ugly. We see characters walking in and out of, you know, dirty plastic linoleum kind of floors, and they walk in and out of ice rinks with neon signs, and you can almost smell the popcorn and feel the stickiness on the floor. It reminds you of every sort of play date you had as a young kid in the early 90s, or every daycare center you went into, or every bland sort of uninspiring Chinese buffet you went into with stale, warmed over food. So there's a lot of nostalgia there. The movie is definitely not glamorous, and Roby does a good job of, you know, dressing herself down here, and their relationship with Stan, they work very well, even though some of their scenes are just like absolutely brutal and totally violent. I think this movie succeeds everywhere in which the disaster artist failed in trying to be a coherent cultural commentary, and where that movie completely fails and is just, you kind of throw your hands up and you say, what did I even watch? This one, there's a visceral feeling from the audience that, oh boy, I am implicit in this sort of vicious cycle in which we just chew up celebrities and spit them out for our own enjoyment, and look where they are now. And you really start to appreciate what a strong-willed personality Tonya Harding was and all that she went through. I'm not really that familiar with her in actuality. I'm not much of a figure skater fan. I think I'd seen her story in passing on, you know, one of those VH1 flashback shows to the 90s in which a bunch of, like, you know, low-rent kind of D-list comedian assholes pontificate about retro things and re-sing theme songs and sort of mock everybody. So my initial impression of this story was it was just a complete farce, that Tonya Harding was some sort of obsessive, violent person, when in reality she sort of lived in a cult of obsessive violence directed only at her. She was the product of it, not the perpetrator of it. I think this is a powerful movie. I also think it's at once entertaining and it never gets bored. Some of the best montage and music work is here. I think it puts Baby Driver to shame. We get a lot of great songs like The Chain by Fleetwood Mac, 25 or 6 to 1 by Chicago, and those all work really well with these choreographed montages that really do remind you of Goodfellas. I know that's been a slug line that's been on the trailer. So during the credits, they actually run reels of Tonya Harding's skating routines, and it's very, very impressive. I mean, she was a fantastic talent. It's almost unreal. I don't know anything about figure skating, but me and the entire audience were completely transfixed watching it play out on the screen up there, and people stayed at least 5 minutes after the credits to watch this. I don't think a single person left. So I would say definitely check out I, Tonya. It's a lot of fun. There are great performances, a lot of laughs in between some moments that are genuinely painful to watch. I really enjoyed the film.